Ever feel like finding a new research idea is like, well, finding a needle in a haystack?
Right.
Well, get this. What if AI could actually help us find that needle?
And not just find the same needles faster, but maybe even uncover needles we didn't even know existed.
Exactly.
Mm.
So today we're diving deep into a study that actually put this to the test, AI versus humans, in a battle of research ideas.
Yeah, a real head-to-head. And they specifically focused on the field of natural language processing, NLP.
Which, for our listeners who don't speak computer science, is basically the tech behind things like chatbots, right?
Exactly. Think like the systems that can understand and generate human language.
So how do they actually structure this research face-off? Give us the rundown.
Okay, so picture this. They got over 100 NLP experts. 49 of them were tasked with writing research proposals, like the first step before you actually do the research.
Kind of like the ultimate science fair proposal competition.
Haha, pretty much. And they gave them some seriously hot topics in NLP to focus on.
Like what? Give us some examples.
Stuff like bias in AI, AI coding, even AI safety, really cutting edge stuff.
Okay, so that's our human team. But then, on the other side of the ring, we have...
An AI agent. And get this, they had it generate the same number of proposals as the humans, tackling those exact same topics.
Whoa, so it's like they cloned those researchers' brains, but with silicon.
Haha, essentially. But then here's the thing. How do you compare human and AI-generated ideas fairly? I mean, wouldn't it be obvious who wrote what?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right. So to level the playing field, they did something really clever. They standardized the format of all the proposals, human and AI, and they even used AI to smooth out the writing style.
So you couldn't tell if it was written by Shakespeare or a robot.
Exactly. Like a blind taste test, only focusing on the idea itself.
Okay, I'm hooked. So we've got our competitors, we've got a level playing field. Who were the judges in this research idea showdown?
Another group of 79 NLP experts talk about pressure. And they had no idea whether an idea came from a human or the AI.
So total objectivity. I like it. What were they judging on?
Lots of stuff. Novelty, of course, like how original the idea was, but also how exciting it was to read, whether it seemed actually doable. Could you actually turn this idea into real research?
Makes sense. So I got to ask, who came out on top? AI or humans?
Well, the results were actually pretty surprising.
Don't leave me hanging.
The AI-generated ideas, they were consistently rated as significantly more novel.
No way. Hold on. So you're telling me AI is already coming up with more original research ideas than top experts in the field?
It definitely challenges some assumptions about where those aha moments come from. But, and this is crucial, just because an idea is novel doesn't mean it's automatically good.
Oh, what do you mean by that? Isn't new always better when it comes to research?
Well, not necessarily. The AI was amazing at thinking outside the box, but sometimes its ideas were a little too out there.
How so?
Like proposing an experiment that would need a supercomputer that most universities could only dream of having.
Ah, so it's like AI creating this amazing recipe, but with ingredients you've never even heard of, let alone know how to find.
A perfect analogy. And that's actually where the human researchers really shined in this study. Their ideas were generally more grounded.
More realistic, you mean?
Yeah, they focused on stuff you could actually implement and ideas that seemed more likely to lead to effective results.
So maybe humans still have a bit of an edge when it comes to, like, practicality, knowing what's actually possible in the real world.
Exactly.
So AI's got the edge on wild ideas,
Yeah.
but humans are better at knowing what'll actually work. It makes you wonder, what were these AI ideas that humans weren't thinking of?
Yeah, I found really cool. They included some examples in the study.
Ooh, like a sneak peek behind the scenes.
Totally. And get this, the examples, they were anonymized. So even the researchers looking at them didn't know if an idea was from AI or a human brain.
No way. That's next level blind taste testing right there.
Right. It really lets the ideas speak for themselves. So want to hear one of these AI-generated research ideas?
Lay it on me.
All right, buckle up. One that caught my eye was titled Modular Calibration for Long-Form Answers.
Okay, modular calibration. It already sounds like it involves algorithms and stuff I don't understand.
Haha, don't worry. It's actually pretty straightforward. It's all about making sure AI is being honest about how confident it is in its own answers.
Especially those super long answers. AI's so good at spitting out these days, right? Like you're not always sure if it's legit or just making stuff up.
Exactly. And this AI proposal, it was all about breaking those long answers down into smaller chunks, checking the confidence level for each part. then like giving you an overall trustworthiness score.
So it's like a built-in AI fact checker. That's
Yeah.
actually incredibly useful, especially with so much information and misinformation out there these days.
Right. And the reviewers were impressed. They were like, wow, this is totally new, especially compared to the simpler methods being used.
So AI thinking way outside the box on this one.
Definitely. Highlighting that AI might be able to come up with these elegant solutions that humans might just overlook.
Okay, I'm starting to see why those AI ideas were considered so groundbreaking. But you mentioned earlier that a novel idea isn't always a good idea. How did this one stack up in the feasibility department?
Yeah, that's where it got interesting. One reviewer pointed out that while the AI's idea was super clever, it didn't quite deal with the whole partially correct thing.
You mean like, what if an AI writes a whole essay and some parts are brilliant but others are totally off base?
Exactly. Like a simple thumbs up or thumbs down wouldn't really cut it in that situation.
It's like even AI needs a good editor sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Maybe that's where human researchers come in to take those brilliant but rough ideas and add that extra layer of nuance.
100%. And that's what I think is so fascinating about this whole study. It's not really about AI replacing humans, but more about this potential for collaboration.
The true research power couple situation, like we were saying.
Exactly. But let's dig into another example because this one was really interesting in terms of how AI thinks differently than we do. Ready for another mouthful of a title? Translation with LLMs through prompting with long-form context.
Whoa, okay. I'm going to need a translation for that title first.
Uh-huh. Fair enough. Imagine trying to translate a language that very few people speak, so there's not much data available to train those AI models.
Okay, so like a rare dialect or a language spoken by a really remote community,
Hmm.
I can see how that would be tough for AI to grasp.
Exactly. And the AI in this study, it proposed this really wild solution, giving the AI a crash course in the language by feeding it a longer piece of text in that language along with its translation.
So instead of just translating word by word, it's trying to understand the bigger picture first, like getting some context.
You got it. And this idea, it really sparked something with the reviewers. One even said this could be huge for breaking down language barriers, making information accessible to everyone, no matter what language they speak.
Now that's what I call impactful. But did everyone buy into this AI-generated approach?
Well, there were some valid criticisms, too. One reviewer pointed out that no matter how clever this prompting technique is, it might still be limited by the availability of training data.
Right. It's like trying to bake a cake but only having half the ingredients. You can only get so creative with the recipe.
Precisely. And that highlights this really important point. AI might come up with groundbreaking ideas, but they still need to be examined within the limits of what's actually possible in the real world.
It's like this fascinating push and pull between AI pushing those boundaries and humans grounding those ideas in reality.
Totally. And that's why so many people are excited about this whole human AI collaboration thing.
Speaking of exciting, I know our listeners have a ton of questions about what this all means for the future of research.
Yeah.
And speaking of questions, let's dive into what our listeners are thinking about all this.
Sounds good to me.
We got a bunch of great questions, and one that came up a lot was, well, if AI gets so good at generating research ideas, what happens to, us, to human researchers?
Yeah, that's the big question looming over all this, isn't it? Like, are we all going to be out of a job? Replaced by research robots?
Right.
Well, if you think back to what we've been unpacking today, this study really points more towards a future of collaboration, not just straight up replacement.
Okay, so more like a partnership.
Exactly. The authors of the study, they picture AI as being this like really powerful tool for generating those initial sparks of novelty, those out there ideas. But they still see human researchers as totally essential for taking those sparks and, actually shaping them into real impactful research.
So it's like AI can give us a head start in the race, but humans still need to know how to run it.
I like that. And think about all the research fields that are dealing with like massive amounts of data, stuff like medicine, climate science. AI could analyze all that data and maybe even see these patterns that humans might miss.
And those patterns could lead to entirely new research avenues that, without the AI, might have been totally hidden.
Exactly. It's like having a research assistant who can crunch numbers at like warp speed, which frees us humans up to focus on the bigger picture questions.
Makes sense. Okay, another listener question we got a lot was about the potential downsides of all this.
Yeah.
Could AI be used to generate research ideas that are actually harmful?
Oh,
or
yeah.
unethical.
Yeah, it's like any powerful tool, right? It's not just about what it can do, but how we actually use it.
Responsibly.
Exactly. And the authors of the study, they emphasize that just like with any type of research, especially when you're dealing with sensitive topics, ethical considerations have to be the top priority.
So it's still up to the humans to set those boundaries, to make sure that AI is being steered towards, well, research that actually benefits humanity, not harms it.
100%. And that actually leads into one final question that I thought was super interesting. Someone wrote in asking, what skills will human researchers need to develop to actually thrive in a future where AI plays a bigger role?
Ooh, that's a good one. So it's not enough to just be good at the science part anymore.
Right. Like on a practical level, knowing how to actually work with AI, that's going to be huge.
So like learning how to speak its language.
Yeah. Like how to give it effective prompts, how to understand what it's spitting out, that kind of thing. But then beyond those technical skills, things like critical thinking, creativity, those are only going to get more important in a world where AI is on the scene.
Because AI can give you the what, but it can't tell you the why.
Exactly. It's about being able to look at the data AI uncovers and actually understand what it means.
It's not humans versus AI. It's humans with AI.
Perfectly said.
And who knows what incredible breakthroughs are waiting for us when we embrace that collaboration.
I can't wait to find out.
Well, that wraps up our deep dive into the world of AI and the future of research. Key takeaway. AI is definitely changing the game, but it's not a game-over situation for human researchers. It's more like an invitation to collaborate, to think bigger, and to maybe even surprise ourselves with what we can achieve together. Until next time, stay curious, everyone.